Working with the future tense and reflexive verbs is very easy because we just grab a handle, so there's really no conjugating for us to do. Let's work with another reflexive verb here, which is to stay. This is quedarse. So we have que, dar, se, 3 syllables. Quedarse is the full verb, the infinitive, to stay. This goes back to an earlier video where we were talking about how some actions which are not treated as reflexive in English are treated as reflexive in Spanish. And this is a very good example. So in English, where we would simply say, I'm staying here, or I'm going to stay there, I stay. In Spanish, they make it reflexive. So I stay myself there, or I'm going to stay myself over there. They make it reflexive, and there's no other way to say it. So let's practice using quedarse and the future tense. I'll help you by giving you the first one. So here we have, I'm going to stay. That would be voy a quedarme. Here we have our handle, voy a, I'm going to. And then you have the full verb. But we're replacing the se with a me to express myself. So I'm going to stay in Spanish is I'm going to stay myself. Voy a quedarme. How would you ask, are you going to stay here tonight? ¿Vas a quedarte aquí esta noche? Here we have, are you going to stay yourself? Quedarte here tonight, aquí esta noche. It's going to stay here. Va a quedarse. The word for until in Spanish is hasta. I'm sure you have all heard hasta luego, until later. Hasta is until. How would you say it's going to stay here until tomorrow? Va a quedarse aquí hasta mañana. Literally, it is going to stay itself here until tomorrow. We're not going to stay in this house. How would you say that? No vamos a quedarnos en esta casa. Here we have, we're not going to, no vamos a, and then the nos for ourselves. No vamos a quedarnos en esta casa. We're not going to stay in this house. We're going to stay in the hotel. Vamos a quedarnos en el hotel. They're going to stay with me tonight. Van a quedarse conmigo esta noche. Here we have se for themselves. Literally, they're going to stay themselves with me tonight. Sounds so strange in English, but this is the way that they express it in Spanish. There's no other way. To stay is a reflexive, treated as a reflexive action in Spanish. So they're going to stay with me tonight. Van a quedarse conmigo esta noche. Try this one. They're going to stay with Jose for 1 week. Be careful here. Van a quedarse con Jose por una semana. So they're going to stay themselves with Jose. Van a quedarse con Jose. Now, a week is a duration of time. So the for is treated with por because it's not a deadline, it's a duration of time. So we have por una semana. This is really quite good news for us because it means that whenever we're talking or using the future tense with a reflexive verb, it's quite easy. We just use the full verb, the infinitive, and hook on whichever pronoun it's going to be. So we just grab that handle and immediately we have the future tense with reflexive verbs. Let's also take this opportunity to try to conjugate this in the present tense just to give you a bit more practice and experience. So we already know, we've already been through how to treat this in the future. So let's get rid of this because we already know that it means to stay. So now we want to conjugate quedarse in the present tense. Remember, step 1, get rid of the se. So now we have quedar, which is more manageable. Psychologically, it looks a lot easier. So for I, this gets replaced with o. So I stay would be me quedo, I stay, or I stay here, me quedo aquí. I'm not staying here, no me quedo aquí. Go back again to the full verb, quedar. You stay, now we add the S, and it's going to be te quedas. You stay, te quedas. Go back again. Let's do it the short way here. Quedar. So he stays, she stays, it stays, se queda. It stays here, se queda aquí. Or he stays here, se queda aquí. Once again, go back to the infinitive. We stay. We add our mos sound. And we have quedamos. So now, nos quedamos is we stay. See how it's reflexive. We stay ourselves. Nos quedamos. And then finally, for they, again, we have quedar. So we have add in the N. And then we have se quedan, they stay. Or they don't stay, no se quedan. You see, it's the exact same principle. What we have here with quedarse is the full verb, the infinitive, to stay oneself, which they use in Spanish to express to stay. It's a reflexive, treated as a reflexive action in Spanish, quedarse. But when conjugating in the present tense, get rid of this, and now we can manage it like any ordinary regular verb, just using our friends at the front, me, te, se, nos, and se. But when we're doing it in the future, we don't need to conjugate anything because we're using the magic of a handle. So, voy a quedarme. I'm going to stay. This is how it works.